Hello and welcome to SimBoxx Boxing. Tonight, I'm delighted to be joined by the WBA bantamweight champion of the world, Nina Hughes. Nina, how are we doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, really good, thanks. We've had a few technical issues when we tried getting this interview on in the past, and as I previously mentioned, it's been one that I've really been excited to get into. We spoke previously, but I think with the fight coming up in May on a
Yeah,
huge platform, I think there's no better time for us to have a catch up. So yeah, 12th of May, Shanika Johnson and another
yeah.
defense of that WBA bantamweight world title on the undercard of Vasily Lomachenko against George Kambosos in Australia. What an opportunity, Nina.
I know it's a great opportunity. I just jumped at the chance as soon as it was offered, and obviously been inactive for a while, waiting for a big fight, and yeah, it's a big fight, and we're looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Now, Shanika Johnson, she's probably best known on British soil for fighting Ellie Scotney, lost
Yeah.
to Ellie Scotney. Uh, what's your knowledge of Shanika Johnson? Are you the type of fighter, Nina, that'll go and study your opponent when a fight's announced, or do you leave that to your team?
I watch a little bit, but I mainly leave it to my team. I just watch little bits to just gauge, obviously, what she's like. But yeah, I mainly leave it to my team and my coaches. I just focus on myself and what I need to do to improve and what I need to do to beat her.
Absolutely. Now, with this fight, it seems to have been announced a fair while in before the fight, in this day and age, you're usually getting 6 to 8 weeks notice before a show with so many shows and so many different promoters and whatnot. You've had what, 12 weeks, 13 weeks or something since this fight was
Well, we
officially
knew about
announced.
this. We actually knew about this fight probably, I think we had about 14, 15 weeks to go because it seemed such a long way away. And then suddenly it's come around so quick. Yeah, we actually fly out in just over 2 weeks. So, yeah, it's come around really quick.
Absolutely. Now, with that, is that a benefit? Is it a hindrance? Or could the way you have to tailor your training, is there a worry that you could peak too early, or
Yeah.
is too much time never a bad thing?
I mean, it's never a bad thing because obviously the first couple of weeks we still, and I think we started like hitting it hard like at 12 weeks. So we started camp properly at 12 weeks, even though we knew about it. We was always in the gym anyway, so we're always training. We knew about it, but yeah, we made sure camp started properly like at 12 weeks.
Absolutely. And I think it's going to be now on 11 or 12 months since your last fight, your sole defense of that world title against Katie Healy. I'm sure you're chomping at the bit to get an itchy knuckles,
Yeah,
I think the term is.
definitely. Yeah, it's been a long time, long wait, but yeah, finally getting there now.
Absolutely. And in that time, there's been a lot of rumours, a lot of potential fights, and then they've all fell apart for one reason or another. Was there ever a
Yeah,
time there, Nina, when you thought, this is not for me anymore? I'm gonna hang the gloves up. Did that ever cross your mind?
it didn't cross my mind, but obviously it went through times where it's just it gets so frustrating because all you want to do is get in the ring and yeah, the fights keep getting talked about and they just kept not happening and yeah, so it was a very frustrating time, but yeah, I'm a staff person. I just thought you can't give up on this. Like I got to where I was from not giving up and believing in myself. So yeah, there was never a chance I couldn't just give it up, even though the thoughts there at times because when you're not getting the fights, you wonder if you're going to get one.
Of course, now with this fight with Shanika Johnson taking place in Australia, you of course won the title against Jamie Mitchell on away soil as well. Are we going to get to the point where we start calling Nina Hughes the Road Warrior?
Well, let's keep be nice, keep upsetting people, bro. Don't like rather get a trip away as well.
Absolutely. Now, one thing that I did want to bring up, and I'm sure it's something you're bored of talking about now, is your recent Twitter spat with one Ebony Bridges. She divides opinion. I think it's fair to say. Um,
Yeah.
is that fight dead in the water for you now? Is that something that's not really going to happen?
I think that was always dead in the water because she never wanted the fight. I mean, we were always told you can't make someone fight you. She had a belt, I had a belt, I've got a belt, and it was a great unification fight. Yeah, even without a belt, she still doesn't want the fight. So that fight's never going to happen unless she suddenly wants it, which I very doubt she's going to change her mind. And to be honest, she's got nothing I want anymore, so that fight's no interest to me.
In terms of obviously she hasn't got a world title, would someone of the profile of Ebony Bridges, would that not entice you into a fight that it would garner a lot of attention?
It did before. When I didn't have a fight and I wanted a fight. Yeah, I was just chasing the big fights. But we've got a plan now, and we've got a map set out for us. So I just got to focus on making sure that I win against Shanika, and then yeah, there'll be big things going coming after that.
Absolutely. Now, with just finally touching on that Twitter spat, it all spouted from Ebony Bridges calling for a fight with Astrid Wet, which was a completely bizarre situation. I'm going to try and be impartial, but
Yeah.
as a boxing fan, an active former world champion calling out a misfits part timer, it was a bit bizarre to say the least. And it was almost like you took a stand for proper boxing that you weren't going to stand for it.
Yeah, one, it was taking the stand for proper boxing. Two is she keeps piping up every time I like when I announced I'd changed managers, when I said something else, she just for no reason just wanted to keep piping up on my comments. So it was a bit of a natural retaliation as well when she's announcing something so ridiculous as calling out a porn star.
Absolutely. No, obviously, that's Ebony Bridges is a pro boxer, if you like, calling out a misfits. But he was looking at getting that on the undercard of Jake Paul against Mike Tyson. What's your thoughts on that? If we just deviate from your career for a second, Nina, Jake Paul against
Yeah,
Mike
I mean,
Tyson.
I think that's a ridiculous fight as well. But like here, the favourite's probably Jake Paul because Mike Tyson's a legend, but he's 58 years old, isn't he?
Yeah.
So when you're looking at that age, whereas Ebony Bridges is a current boxer, she's a former world champion, and she's the one calling out a porn star. It's not the other way around. It'd be different if it was the porn star calling out Ebony, and then Ebony was like, "Yeah, come in this fight, fair enough." But she's the one. The Astrid Wett's never even mentioned her name.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, with going back to yourself, you split with Matchroom, you signed with Lou DiBella. I think it was a left field move. I think it certainly took me by surprise for what it's worth. Lou DiBella, Hall of
Yep.
Famer, world renowned promoter. Just take us through the end of your time with Matchroom and then the opportunity to link up with Lou DiBella in your words.
Well, yeah, obviously Matchroom, they gave me the opportunity for the world title. Really appreciated that. But the only big fights they wanted was against Shannon Courtney and Ebony Bridges. And unfortunately, Shannon Courtney pulled out and turned down another 2 fight dates. So obviously that fight was dead. And Ebony Bridges didn't want to know. So I was left obviously inactive. And yeah, Lou Bella offered us a great deal, offered us the fight with Shanika and a great deal after that. So
Absolutely. With a deal after that, without looking past May 12th, is Mina Yoshida somebody that's in your eye line for a unification fight in the future?
yeah, definitely 100%. Obviously, I have to beat Shanika, but there's big fights. Ludabella's got a lot of the bantamweights in my division. Yoshida's got Yoshida's mandatory. She's got the IBO champion, so it just all made sense.
Absolutely. I think am I right in saying Dina Thorsland and Seren Settin are unifying later on in May as well? So that's another fight that
Yeah,
you'll have one eye on as well. You would have in your eyes been victorious on the 12th, and then just 2 weeks later you have one eye on that fight.
yeah, definitely. Fingers crossed. Yep, I come out winning against Shanika, and yeah, they're the massive fights that I want. They're the unification fights that I want.
Absolutely, and it's never a polite thing to bring up with a woman, but at your age, you're 41, you've only had 6 fights, so there's not
Yeah,
miles on the clock in that sense. But
yeah.
at 41, is the energy there after the inactivity to knuckle down and get these fights, and for Lou DiBella to fulfill his promises to you? Is there an urgency there?
Yeah, definitely. Like I've always wanted to be active. Like I
Mm,
had 5 fights in the first year of being a
yeah,
pro, so that's why it's been so frustrating. Only have 1 fight in the last year. So yeah, I want to get this fight. I want to make sure I win and yeah, knuckle down and hope get the unification fights and fight for undisputed.
absolutely. And just a couple of things that I want to get your opinion on away from your fight, your career. What do you make of the likes of Clarissa Shields and Savannah Marshall moving over to the PFL and trying their hand at MMA whilst also continuing a boxing career and kind of intertwining the two?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Like it'd be amazing. It'd be a very interesting fight to see them both fighting MMA. Because obviously no one knows. I think Savannah's got her debut soon. No one knows how good either of them are in that respect in a different sport. So yeah, it's interesting.
Could we see a Nina Hughes in the octagon anytime soon?
No, definitely not. Once I'm done with boxing, that's me retired.
Brilliant, brilliant. So obviously, women's boxing is forever evolving. It's coming on leaps and bounds. Some great fighters, some great champions. and some great fights now. The divisions are really stacking out, and just a couple of fights I want to get fighters. I want to get your opinion on. Firstly, we sit 2 days out from Rhiannon Dixon fighting for her first world title, and also on the same card from Matchroom, Ellie Scottney looking to unify the super bantamweight division. Are you the type to sit and watch other women do their thing? Are you a fan of boxing?
I really enjoy watching other women do their thing. They're both great fights. I think Rhiannon Dixon, I think, has done amazing. She's come from the white collar background. I think she's so skillful, and I think this is her time. And I think she's going to become a world champion. And Ellie Scottney's got a unification fight. It's a great fight, and I believe that they're both going to do it, and they'll both win.
Absolutely no. And originally, when we were scheduling this interview, I was going to get a little bit of an opinion on Sandy Ryan against Terry Harper. As it was, this interviews happened after that. Sandy Ryan with a destructive, powerful performance, stopping Terry Harper in 4 rounds. How impressed was you with Sandy Ryan and the performance she put on there?
Yeah, really impressed. Like, I thought she would maybe win, but I thought it'd be a close fight. I didn't think she would dominate like that. And she put on a great performance, really dominated, and really showed what she's about.
For a long time, it looked like we was going to get the trilogy fight with Katie Taylor and Chantel Cameron. That's now looking like it's not happening, and potentially we're going to get the rematch between Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano. If you're saying that one fight's falling apart and you get another fight as a replacement, that's as good as it gets as a replacement, isn't it? Serrano rematch over Chantel Cameron trilogy.
Yeah, I mean, I feel for Chantel because obviously that trilogy has to happen at some point. But a rematch between, it was such a close fight the first time round. It's another rematch that has to happen. So it's a great fight.
Absolutely. And just to finish, Nina, we sit 3 or 4 weeks out from fight night. What can the fans expect for your Lou DeBell debut out in Australia?
A big performance, and I'm just going to get that win, make sure I bring that belt back home.
Wicked, Nina. It's always a pleasure catching up. I really do appreciate your time. Thanks for speaking to SimBoxx.
Thanks a lot.